We're here to help each other, not hurt each other. And it's a shame that I'm talking about Black and brown communities.
Don't you hear? You or your administration. Y'all need to go.
Mayor, you might as well step down too. Because I'm tired of that too. This is a disgrace that you have.
Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, Illinois, is once again making headlines, but this time for all the wrong reasons. Henyard has been accused of misusing taxpayer funds, treating public money as her personal bank account. This has sparked outrage among residents, who are furious about her lavish and reckless spending on personal gains in response to the growing backlash. Henyard has made audacious claims, asserting that the attacks on her are rooted in racial bias. She suggests that her opponents cannot handle her power and influence simply because she is a strong Black woman. Despite these criticisms and widespread discontent, she maintains that the tension stems from people not understanding her leadership style. At one point, she even called the police during a town meeting in Dalton. Underscoring the deepening divide between her and the residents she serves, the controversy has reached a boiling point, with many residents now calling for her removal before the next election due to what they see as mismanagement and drama under her administration. Despite the mounting pressure, Henyard remains defiant, continuing to refer to herself as the super mayor. She believes she will secure a second term, confident that the public simply misunderstands her approach to leadership. Henyard argues that her strength as a woman of color will ultimately ensure her success, however, with mounting scandal and growing public dissatisfaction. It's unclear whether her unwavering confidence will be enough to overcome the backlash. Her future as mayor hangs in the balance as the community continues to push for change.
Aren't there yet? The mayor, not the trustees that don't do nothing, that only run their mouth.
Just a few days ago, the Dalton trustees uncovered a shocking revelation that left the town reeling. The life insurance for more than 150 town employees had expired in August 2024 due to mispayments, and no one had noticed until it was too late. As the trustees scrambled to figure out how such a significant oversight had occurred, they learned that the town's insurance consultant had informed the village administration about the issue. This led to the uncomfortable conclusion that Mayor Tiffany Henyard was directly responsible. This discovery was just one of many problems that seemed to point squarely at Henyard as more issues continue to surface under her leadership. When the trustees tried to confront her about the insurance situation, they were met with a surprising absence of the mayor. Known for her flamboyant presence at board meetings, often flaunting her extravagant wigs and bold style, Henyard was nowhere to be found. The trustees, left without answers, attempted to reach out to her, but received no response. It soon became clear that no payments had been made for the insurance, and Henyard's sudden disappearance raised even more questions to add to the drama. Henyard later claimed that she would not attend any more meetings unless she was provided with additional security for her safety. This only deepened suspicions. Was Henyard avoiding accountability, or was she sensing that her time as mayor was quickly running out? Some wondered if she was considering relocating to Columbia, perhaps to reinvent herself entirely and escape the fallout from her growing list of controversies. Regardless of the reason, Dalton residents were left anxiously awaiting the resolution of the drama. How much longer would Henyard's tenure last? In January, former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot publicly disclosed the findings of an inquiry into Henyard's spending, which revealed even more troubling information about her handling of Dalton's finances. The investigation uncovered a disturbing payroll trail that demonstrated just how recklessly Henyard had been spending the town's resources. Over $70,000 had been spent on travel to Las Vegas for events that were supposedly related to economic development, but no tangible job opportunities or investments had materialized as a result of these trips. It seemed as though Henyard's lavish lifestyle was being funded by Dalton's already tight budget. With little to show for it, the inquiry also revealed that Henyard had spent over $28,000 on Amazon in a single instance, as well as another $51,000 at local businesses. These expenditures raised questions about the legitimacy of her purchases. But these were just the tip of the iceberg. One of her biggest single purchases included paying $85,000 to hire musicians Jay Holiday and Cake Wyatt to perform at one of her grand celebrations. The extravagance didn't stop there. Henyard's spending spree also included the purchase of 3 luxury SUVs for her personal use, totaling $374,000. Perhaps most troubling was Henyard's authorization of $1 million in overtime pay to ensure that a constant police presence would be available to cater to her security needs. This, combined with her decision to allocate $50,000 of the town's resources to improve the town's skating rink, only fueled the growing outrage. With each new revelation, it became clearer that Henyard was mismanaging public funds for her personal gain, and the community was becoming increasingly concerned about her handling of the town's finances. The community's patience was wearing thin, and Henyard's financial decisions were under intense scrutiny. Her actions were leaving a trail of destruction, alienating the very people who once trusted her to lead. As the cracks in her administration grew wider, it became apparent that Henyard's grip on power was slipping. The trustees and citizens of Dalton were left to pick up the pieces of a town in disarray, with her reckless behavior increasingly exposed. Henyard's future as mayor now seemed uncertain. The questions surrounding her finances and her leadership continued to mount, and it appeared that the consequences of her actions might soon catch up with her. If the situation continued to deteriorate, Henyard would likely face the very accountability she had worked so hard to avoid. The fallout from her reckless behavior was likely to leave lasting scars on Dalton, and it remained to be seen just how much longer Henyard could hold on to power before the community demanded change.
Intentional effort to shield from the village trustees and the public what the true financial state of the village was. I mean, we see in Mayor Henyard and her key people in her administration just this reckless disregard for governmental norms, spending on whatever she wanted without seeking any kind of budgetary approval, without looking to see whether or not the spending aligned with the budget, just doing whatever she wanted as if she was all powerful and had no account.
Creations have turned into misappropriations in Dalton, as recent findings have cast a shadow over Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership. Veteran municipal lawyer B.T. Oddip, who represents Dalton trustees opposed to Henyard, expressed disbelief over continued revelations of financial misconduct. Each time trustees think they've uncovered all the misdeeds, new information surfaces. Credit card records revealed expenditures for a Washington trip, including $5,000 to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, plane tickets for Henyard and her assistant, Keith Freeman, totaling $718, 2 hotel rooms at the Washington Hilton for over $1,000 each, and a $629 rental car. The total cost of taxpayers for this trip was a staggering $9,167 in 2022. Henyard's administration proudly announced that Dalton had a surplus of millions in the bank. Yet today, the town is struggling with serious financial issues, and Henyard claims to have no idea where that money has gone. Despite board approvals to settle debts, vendors are going unpaid, leaving residents increasingly vocal about their dissatisfaction with Henyard's leadership. They are demanding answers and questioning how such a large sum of money could disappear without any explanation from the mayor. Henyard's response to the mounting concerns has been defiant. She insists that she owes no apology for her actions, claiming that everything she has done has been for the good of the people. She remains steadfast in her belief that she will continue down this path after her re-election. Despite mounting criticism, she refuses to back down and remains dedicated to serving the community. However, her rhetoric is losing traction with residents, who are growing more frustrated with her financial mismanagement and lack of accountability. Calls for her removal are intensifying, and a growing movement is pushing for her ouster. Henyard's repeated claims of being a leader for the people are starting to ring hollow as more individuals question her motives and ability to manage the town's finances as the pressure mounts. It's clear that Henyard's reign as mayor is under threat. While she continues to present herself as an unwavering force for the people, the reality is that many in Dalton are working to ensure she doesn't return to office. With her approval ratings sinking and calls for her ouster growing louder, Henyard's time as mayor may be quickly running out.
Hey, board approved it. The vendors are not being paid.
How about you be a good leader, bring RFPs to the forefront, so not just us, but the residents and everybody else in America.
The recent town hall meeting in Dalton was nothing short chaotic, with Tiffany Henyard completely losing her composure in front of an increasingly frustrated crowd. The atmosphere, already tense due to her poor management of the town's affairs, quickly reached a boiling point. The residents, fed up with her leadership, couldn't hide their disbelief as Henyard made one misguided remark after another, further cementing her position as a leader on the verge of losing control. Instead of acknowledging the growing discontent among the public, Henyard continued to dismiss their concerns, offering nonsensical comments that only exacerbated the situation. Her dismissive attitude toward the residents' frustrations quickly escalated the tension in the room. Every word she uttered seemed to dig her deeper into a hole, and it was becoming increasingly clear that she was alienating the very people she was meant to serve. As the room simmered with anger, it took one brave individual to speak up. No longer willing to remain silent as Henyard belittled their concerns, this person stood up and boldly confronted the mayor in the middle of her tirade. His words cut through the air like a knife, resonating with many others who were just as fed up with her failure to lead. He called out Henyard for her numerous mistakes, the mismanagement of town resources, and her consistent lack of accountability. The moment was a turning point. As his challenge to the mayor became a rallying cry for others in the room, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The lone voice of dissent was no longer alone. Others in the audience began to speak out, sharing their frustrations and anger over Henyard's failure to take responsibility for her actions. This confrontation turned into a collective moment of empowerment for the residents, who had long felt ignored and disrespected by their mayor. It was a moment that united the community in their dissatisfaction and determination to demand accountability. Henyard, once known for a confident and domineering presence, found herself crumbling under the weight of public disapproval. The mayor, who had once seemed untouchable, was now being held to account by the very people she had sworn to serve. The town hall meeting, which was supposed to be an opportunity for Henyard to engage with her critics and perhaps restore some credibility, turned into a moment of reckoning. It exposed her complete lack of self-awareness, her refusal to accept responsibility, and her dismissive attitude toward the people she had promised to lead. The meeting ended not with any resolutions or steps toward reconciliation, but with an overwhelming sense of dissatisfaction and anger. The frustration that had been building for months, perhaps even years, finally boiled over, and Henyard was left facing the undeniable truth that the trust and respect she once had from the town were rapidly eroding. The room, which had once been filled with her supporters, was now full of residents demanding change and leadership. It wasn't just the confrontation that marked a turning point in Henyard's political career, but the chaos that erupted in the aftermath of the meeting. A violent altercation broke out in the back of the room, escalating tensions to new heights. Fists and kicks were thrown, with people jumping on tables, knocking over monitors, and causing a scene that could not be ignored. Henyard and her boyfriend were at the center of the melee, adding fuel to fire and further embarrassing herself in front of town. The altercation only served to confirm the public's belief that Henyard had lost control and was unable to manage even the most basic responsibilities of leadership. The events of that night served as a powerful symbol of Henyard's failure as a leader. What could have been a chance to regain some trust and possibly salvage her political career instead became a public spectacle, showcasing her inability to connect with her constituents and handle criticism. Her combative rhetoric and refusal to acknowledge her mistakes only made matters worse, and the audience's frustration reached a point of no return. As the meeting ended and the residents began to leave, the damage to Henyard's reputation seemed irreversible. Those who had once supported her were now disillusioned, and the calls for her removal from office grew louder. The mayor, once so confident in her position, was now faced with the cold reality that her time in office might be coming to an end. The fallout from this town hall meeting was swift and significant. The damage to Henyard's reputation and her standing in the community was palpable. The trust she once enjoyed had all but evaporated, and many residents were now actively organizing to ensure that she would not serve another term as mayor. The confrontation at the meeting was a clear turning point in Henyard's leadership, as it exposed just how far she had fallen from the person the public once trusted. For Henyard, what had started as an opportunity to address her failures and perhaps regain some ground turned into a public relations disaster. Instead of using the town hall as a platform to demonstrate her leadership and accountability, she had only succeeded in alienating her already dissatisfied constituents. The once hopeful future for her re-election now seemed uncertain. At best, the public's patience had run out, and the message from Dalton's residents was loud and clear. Henyard had failed them. This moment of confrontation was a significant shift in the public perception of her, and unless she could dramatically change her approach, her time as mayor might be nearing its end. As the dust settled and the community reflected on what had just transpired, it became evident that Henyard's leadership, marked by mismanagement, deflection, and now violence, was no longer tenable. The residents of Dalton were demanding change, and they weren't willing to let Henyard's failures slide any longer.
This happened right after a community activist called Tiffany Henyard an expletive. A fight erupting in the back of the room. Fists, kicks, people jumping on top of tables, monitors smashed, with Henyard and her boyfriend in the middle of the melee.
Everything, it was scary, it was horrible. That's an embarrassment.
It should have never come to blows.
During a recent town hall meeting, Tiffany Henyard completely lost control, escalating tensions and shocking everyone in the room with her behavior. Rather than attempting to defuse the situation when confronted, her response only fueled the chaos. At one point, as an individual continued to stand their ground, Henyard's emotional state seemed to spiral. Her wig flew off, her shoes were lost, and she ended up barefoot while physically throwing punches. It was as if the situation had turned into a reality show, with Henyard's appearance and composure completely falling apart. Her boyfriend, Kamal, was no better. He lost control as well, starting fights with anyone who tried to intervene. The meeting quickly turned into a full-on spectacle. Henyard, the supposed leader of Dalton, was throwing punches and acting in a way that was nothing short of unprofessional. What made matters worse was her continued escalation of the situation. When attempts were made to calm her down, Henyard chose to engage with her fists rather than resolve the issue with any sense of decorum. Her behavior was completely unbecoming of a public official and demonstrated a complete lack of self-control and respect for the position she holds. The event left many questioning her fitness for office. The fallout from a meeting didn't end there. In an unexpected move, the Democrats in Thornton Township, for the first time in 30 years, held a caucus and decided to remove Henyard from the ballot for township supervisor. This was a significant blow to Henyard's political career. Unless her supporters could get her written in, she would no longer be eligible for the position. The decision marked a major turning point for her, especially given that her tenure as mayor of Dalton has already been marred by controversy, corruption accusations, and her increasingly erratic behavior. Henyard had long been seen as someone who used fear and intimidation to control those around her, making people stumble under her forceful leadership. However, it became clear that even her supporters were beginning to question her behavior. As her chances of being re-elected as township supervisor grew slimmer, many residents in Dalton felt disrespected and devalued by a leader more concerned with controlling people than serving them. The public had become fed up with Henyard's antics, and a growing movement to remove her from office entirely was taking shape. The recent developments within the caucus only confirmed what many had already believed, that it was time for Henyard to step down. Her actions were not just damaging her reputation, but also eroding the trust of the residents she was supposed to serve. The people of Dalton were frustrated and determined not to allow her to take the township supervisor position. As her erratic behavior and controversial decisions continued to mount, it became increasingly clear that Henyard's time in power may soon come to an end. The writing is on the wall. And unless Henyard can dramatically regain control of her public image and rein in her unprofessional conduct, her political career may be over. The situation has rapidly become untenable, and many are pushing for her removal before it's too late. The residents of Dalton and Thornton Township are seeking to reclaim their dignity and trust in leadership, hoping that a new direction can be found for the community.
Is we are demanding the leaders that be the people who we elected to step up and step in.
In a call to action letter, the village's board of trustees called Tuesday night's fight disgraceful.
We cannot let her get back to being a mayor, and we already know she's not going to win that supervisor.
Given the current situation, it's nearly impossible to imagine Tiffany Henyard being reelected as mayor in the upcoming April election. Her numerous scandals, ethical lapses, and reckless behavior have left a long trail of dissatisfaction and frustration within the town of Dalton. Henyard serves as a stark reminder that no one should hold power if they're dishonorable, corrupt, and untrustworthy. It's disheartening to witness someone in such a vital role misuse the trust of the community to serve their own interests. It's clear that her leadership has been marked by deceit, mismanagement, and a complete lack of integrity. The public is well aware of her failures, and the mounting pressure has made it highly unlikely that she will secure another term in office. As her political career collapses under the weight of her mistakes, it's evident that her recklessness is now her greatest enemy, and the consequences are becoming unavoidable. When you hold a position of power, losing your dignity is one of the most dangerous things that can happen. Once that is gone, the trust and respect of those you serve are nearly impossible to regain. Tiffany Henyard has lost her dignity, and as a result, she finds herself facing a new kind of grief. One that comes with the realization that she can no longer rely on her previous tactics of fear, manipulation, and arrogance to maintain control. The people of Dalton are tired of her behavior, and the community is calling for accountability. Her actions have caused irreparable damage to her reputation, and her chances of maintaining any position of power seem slimmer with each passing day. Her fight to remain relevant was inevitable given her refusal to take responsibility for her actions. But now, it seems that she will finally have to face some kind of consequence. Whether that will result in her actual removal from office remains to be seen, but the public has made it clear that they are no longer willing to tolerate her reckless and unprofessional conduct as Tiffany Henyard continues to make mistakes. We will be following her story closely to see how this all unfolds. Each new misstep she makes serves as a reminder of her lack of control. It seems likely that she will continue to fuel the public's frustration. Her downfall is becoming increasingly certain, and with each public failure, she edges closer to the reality of facing the consequences of her actions. This story is far from over, and we will continue to cover it as it develops. If you're interested in staying informed about Tiffany Henyard's political struggles, be sure to like and subscribe to stay updated. The people of Dalton deserve better leadership, and it's becoming increasingly clear that they're ready for change. It's hard to say whether Tiffany Henyard will ever fully comprehend the gravity of her actions, but one thing is for sure: she is being watched, and her political career is crumbling under the weight of her own mistakes as this drama unfolds. We will be here to report on it every step of the way. Thank you for watching Celeb News, and until we meet again, take care and stay informed. What are your thoughts on Tiffany Henyard's political career? Do you think she will face the consequences she deserves, or will she somehow manage to avoid them? Let us know in the comments below.